What it do? What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Aaron Turner, aka Challenge Complete Gang, back in the building, man. I want to talk to you guys today about sensitivity. And I'm gonna tell you guys a story. Growing up, I was severely bullied. I grew up in the South Bronx. I was a pretty nerdy kid that liked anime. Which isn't any sort of qualifier for getting bullied, right? But just to kind of set the scene. I was a nerdy kid that liked anime, had a high-pitched voice, didn't like to fight too much, was pretty smart in school, talked a lot, was pretty annoying, and just a small, shriveled up kid. And in the South Bronx, for those of y'all that don't know, is a place where you're pretty much bred to be the opposite of that. And so you can imagine how much I fit in, how well I fit into that whole system. Not too well, as I'm sure that you could probably imagine. I was always bullied for being different. I was always bullied for not really fitting into the status quo. For being smarter than my peers in some degree, to some capacity. Maybe like just not being what people expected or not being like everybody else. So I was severely bullied, man. I mean, everything. Beat up, left there lying, kicked down flights of stairs, spit on, dragged, stuffed in lockers, pushed into garbage cans, pushed into trash, literally. And it's not to say that I didn't fight back. I fought back. I'm not by any means afraid to fight. But when you fight and they keep doing it and they keep doing it and then no more people do it and it just continues like that, it almost seems like fighting is pointless. I was born as a pretty sensitive kid, very empathetic. My mother was she struggled with a lot of things. And due to her struggles and trauma, sometimes she could be abusive towards me. And some common traits of abuse and trauma growing up in that kind of household is called hypersensitivity. So what you do is that because you're constantly getting hit or abused or mentally abused or emotionally abused, you as a human, you as someone that tries to come up with solutions says, okay, if I can get ahead of the game and figure out what this person's triggers are, figure out what makes them upset, what makes them tick, and I can get around that, I won't be abused as much. So that's essentially what I did, right? I would try to come up with these different strategies and ways to not piss her off. I would make sure that when I walked throughout my house, which had wooden floors, I wouldn't step on the floorboards that would creak and possibly wake her up from her nap because she hated to be woken up. I'd make sure that when I went to bed, I did not have to get up to go get more food or something to drink, because if I did and she happened to be up walking around the house and saw me awake, she would get upset at me. So I kept an emergency jar of peanut butter by my bed so that if I was hungry or wanted to eat, I could eat. I'd make sure that if she told me to go in my room because she had company over, that's what I did. I went in my room and I didn't come out. I made sure that I would get the best grades possible in school so that I could not have to hear her basically yell at me and tell me that I need to turn my A's to A pluses or my B pluses to A minuses, which essentially was always the case. It makes you very hypersensitive. But beyond that, I was already a sensitive kid. Just sensitive. Just wanted peace and love in the world. Just didn't understand why people had to fight. I didn't understand why people had to kill each other. I didn't understand. And to this day, I still don't. I just learned to live with the reality of it. But I don't understand why people have to die for other people to live. I don't understand why people have to fight and kill each other instead of just talking things out. Those things never really made sense to me. But it seems like everybody's kind of just accepted it if it's not them or someone that they care about, their family. But that's sort of besides the point. I want to talk to you guys today about sensitivity. Because I believe at the core of every single human being, we are all sensitive. Some of us may try to deny that. But it also depends on what you define sensitive to be. My definition of sensitive is not a negative. Sensitive to me means you are emotionally in tune with yourself. When someone does something to you that is offensive, you get offended. When someone does something to you that's loving, you feel loved. Sensitivity is how you respond to your feelings. And I think that throughout life, we've also been trained to not be sensitive. Not because we aren't supposed to be, but because we as a collective human being, society, don't know how to deal with each other's emotions. We don't know how to deal and take responsibility for hurting each other's emotions. So that does two things. If you're the person that hurts somebody or offends somebody, you might neglect the fact that you actually hurt them. You might try to deflect from the fact that you actually did something to hurt their heart or hurt their feelings, or you may not even accept full responsibility for why their feelings are hurt. You might just blame them for just being sensitive. Oh no, you're just sensitive. I didn't actually mean to hurt you. I didn't hurt you. You're just sensitive. You just took it to the wrong way. I didn't do that, but you're just sensitive. Because we assume that if somebody else is telling us that they're hurt by our actions, that we did that on purpose. And it goes against who we are, and so we say no to that. But that's us being sensitive, right? Because we're hurt by what they said to us. So we respond in sensitivity. But we don't respond in sensitive openness or sensitive transparency. We respond in sensitive anger, sensitive doubt, sensitive neglect. So this creates another dichotomy. If you're the person that has constantly tried to reach out to other people about sensitivity and no one has responded well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start to guard up. You're going to create a guard for yourself. So that way, no one else can hear your openness and your sensitivity and respond in a negative way again. So now we have two types of people going outside. Those that deflect from people's sensitivity and those that aren't sensitive. And they're often clashing into each other day in and day out. And we see a lot of moments and experiences and situations that are off of the cuff of this. We always wonder how situations get escalated, how people end up getting to these points, these fights, these ruthless deaths, these unexplainable situations. This is how it happens. We live in a world where we feel like we cannot be open and sensitive in ourselves, much like how I was growing up. It made me become somebody that I never wanted to be. It made me become the bully that I hated. I was always a smart kid, but it made me become intellectually arrogant. I started to use my intellect not as a means of defending myself, but as a means of now attacking others, getting to know them, understanding who they are as a person, asking them questions that they might not think are deep and thought-provoking and probing questions, but I'm using them to build a portfolio of them in my brain. So that way I can use it against them in the future. Not in an argument, well, maybe in an argument, but not in an argument, but more as, how can I get them to open up to me? Because if they open up to me, they'll see me as close. And if they see me as close, they won't want to hurt me as much as they would somebody else. I started to develop this intellectual arrogance because it worked. People didn't know what hit them. They never even suspected me of being that kind of person, that manipulative person. But I tried to do it to protect myself. It made me become a player. I felt like having multiple women and them knowing that there were multiple women and me not caring was player. I felt like that was cool. That was nice. That was okay. But God knows how much I've hurt people behind that. Made them feel not as worthy as they actually are. I became somebody I didn't want to be. You know? I took up martial arts. I went to the military. I learned these ways to fight that if someone wanted to fight me, they would get really hurt. All these things I did to protect myself, protect the sensitive little boy that was deep inside. And then I blamed people that were sensitive in the world. I would look at them and laugh. You're so sensitive. You are so sensitive. I didn't do anything to you. You just took that wrong. You're just sensitive. You need to harden up to the world. You need to become someone that can take on the brunt of this cold, cold world. You need to not be sensitive. Because I didn't want to deal with somebody's emotions, because nobody ever dealt with mine. Such an easy thing to do. A thing that a lot of people do. And it changed my personality. I started becoming an asshole to people. And then when people were assholes back, I didn't understand or comprehend. It would become this endless cycle that just fed itself. And so when I got into a relationship with a woman that I loved dearly, and she was a sensitive person, I oftentimes would try to go against that, go against her sensitivity, try and change her, make her not be so sensitive. But then when I was going through problems, I expected her to be sensitive and understanding and hear me out and be transparent and learn. And that was just wrong. Because she couldn't understand, why am I being sensitive and transparent to someone that ain't even acknowledging my feelings, that's telling me to suck it up? So you know what, Aaron? When you're going through shit, suck it up. And then I'm going to blame her for that too. It was wrong. But by doing some of this inner thinking, by reflecting on some of these moments, by working together with her, I've been able to kind of tackle some of these things in myself that I never would have been able to do alone. And so I reach out to the YouTube community and I reach out to the world and I ask the world, who is the sensitive you? Who is the little boy, the little girl that has been hurt so much by others? Who is the little you, the little kid inside of you that has created this adult, that has created this figure as a defense against this harsh world? Are you, as an adult, who you really wanted to be as a kid? Or are you who you think you needed to be as a kid? Who are you really? And if we lead by example and start becoming more sensitive and more open and telling our friends and family, the ones that hurt us in the moment, that they do hurt us, hey, listen, that actually really hurt my feelings when you did that, when you said that. And seeing how they respond to that. Can we create an environment in which everybody that we love and care about is sensitive to each other and works and builds up that muscle of actually acknowledging somebody's feelings, not taking offense to them or thinking that they're the fault for it, but working together with that person to resolve it? Because when you love somebody, that's what you do. If we can all do this and create small circles like that, who knows what we can accomplish? Maybe something pretty amazing. Because we don't want to hurt each other, I promise, we don't. But we have a hard time communicating certain things properly. We have a hard time being transparent. We have a hard time opening up and being sensitive to someone that we think we can't be sensitive to in fear of us being hurt. Sometimes you can represent so much more to a person than you think. You can be someone's trauma. You could be someone's trigger. You could be a reflection of everything that someone didn't like, either in someone else or in themselves. So be careful of the power that you have by just being you. And that's what I wanted to say today. Love you guys. Hope that you guys are listening. Hope that you guys are having a great time and just working on yourselves, man. Bax is definitely working on this stick. He is not playing about this. He's keeping that shit for like 45 minutes. It's crazy. But let me get on and take this dog upstairs. I love you guys. Hope you guys are having a great and wonderful rest of your day, man. I love you guys so much. Challenge complete. Getting out of here, because the biggest challenge is ourselves, and we will complete that. Hope you guys all have a wonderful and amazing and blessed day. Okay.